Hello scholars, this is Mrs. Bonjour, your Vice Principal. I'm going to do a quick review on how to count atoms using parentheses, or the proficient level as we might say. So the first thing I want to review real quick is subscript. Remember, subscript is that little number that tells us how many atoms we have of an element. Now you guys know this because you've been dealing with subscripts for a little bit, for a hot minute as we might say. Okay, so that's that little tiny number at the bottom of an element. For example, H2O, that is your subscript right here. And if you don't see a subscript, remember you have to put the 1 in so you can actually see it. Now you know how to count atoms with subscripts because you know there's 2 hydrogen there and 1 oxygen there, so that subscript goes with the element directly to its left. This lesson is on counting atoms with parentheses. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your knowledge of subscripts and we're going to add parentheses in there. So let's go back to an example like this. Cu parentheses NO 3 parentheses 2. Remember, if you have parentheses, this subscript goes to everybody on the inside of that parentheses. And it means multiply. It means multiply. It does not go to the Cu because that Cu, which is copper, is not inside the parentheses. So here's the rule. The I said exponent. I'm sorry, it's not exponent. It is actually subscript. I was thinking of math. The subscript is multiplied by the subscript. Or as we might say, S times S. Subscript times subscript. Okay? Subscript times subscript. That's what this means right here. Subscript times subscript. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at that in motion here now. So what I'm going to do is we are going to we can draw a little chart here so we can see this happening. Element will go on the left, the atoms will go on the right. I'm going to put Cu right here, and I'm going to put N right here, and I'm going to put O right there. Okay? So this is what we do. The Cu, he does not go to this subscript over here, so we just have 1 copper. So he's easy peasy. Now let's look at nitrogen. I'm going to take this subscript times his subscript, which is a 1, remember, because there was nothing there. So 2 times the 1 is 2. So I have 2 nitrogen. Now let's look. Let me erase some of this. Let's look at our oxygen. I'm going to take this 2 times oxygens, 3, so it's 2 times 3, which is 6. So I have 6 oxygen. Now if I'm going to do my total, I'm going to go 1 plus 2 plus 6, which is 1 plus 2 plus 6, which is going to be 9. I have 9 atoms total in that chemical formula. Your big thing is to remember it is subscript times subscript. So subscript times subscript. Subscript times subscript. Okay? Let's erase this and let's look at another example. And I know you guys have done this already, but this is a good little review for you. Okay? Because we're going to get into some more complicated stuff in just a little bit. So let's look at another example. Oh, this one is a good one. This is what I call a juicy example. Parentheses, NH4, parentheses, 3, PO4. Wow, this time my parentheses is at the beginning. It don't matter where the parentheses is at. This subscript of a 3 goes to everything inside the parentheses. That 3 does not go to the P and it does not go to the O. It only goes to directly inside the parentheses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my little dissection chart here. Like that. This is my elements and this is my atoms. Okay, So I have nitrogen, I have hydrogen, I have phosphorus, and I have oxygen. So let's look at my nitrogen. Oh, he does not have a subscript, so I'm going to put a 1 right there. So I'm going to go subscript times subscript. So my 3 is my subscript times my nitrogen of 1, so 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, now I'm done with him. Let's do my hydrogen. I have 3 outside the parentheses, so I'm going to go subscript times subscript. So my 3 outside the parentheses times my 4 is 12. Wow, that's a lot of hydrogen. I have 12 hydrogen. This 3 does not go with the P. So his subscript is a 1, so I have 1 phosphorus, and I have 4 oxygen. Now let's add up this. This is a big one. I have 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This one has 20 atoms in its formula. That's a pretty big atom. Or not atom, but pretty good sized formula. Okay. So that one was a little bit different because we had our parentheses over here on the left side, but it's still done exactly the same way. Okay. Let's look at another one. Let's look at, oh, this one's going to be fun. Mg parentheses C2 H3 O2 parentheses 2. This one's fun. It's fun because it's nice and big. I'm going to draw my dissection box. Here's my element. Here's my atoms. I'm going to do my magnesium. I'm going to do my carbon. I'm going to do my hydrogen and my oxygen. Notice my rule is still the same, subscript times subscript. Magnesium has a subscript of a 1. That 2 over here does not get multiplied by magnesium because he's outside those parentheses. So I'm just going to say I have 1 magnesium. Now comes the fun part. Let's do carbon. Here's my subscript times carbon subscript. So 2 times 2 is 4. Now let's do my hydrogen. Here's my subscript times hydrogen subscript, which is 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. Now let's do oxygen. Here's my subscript times oxygen subscript. So 2 times 2 is 4. So my total is going to be, this is 1 plus 4 plus 6 plus 4. So I'm going to group it in 10. So I have 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 5 is 15. This one has 15 atoms. This one looked like it was a bigger chemical formula. However, it had fewer atoms than the one we did before. It just looked big because we had a lot going on in that parentheses, but not very many atoms in that parentheses. Okay. Let me erase this. And we will do just one more. Then my next video will be on coefficients, which are so much fun. Let's do this one. Let's do, oh, here's a good one. Ca3 parentheses PO4 parentheses 2. I do see a chemical or an element that needs a subscript, so I just put him in. I'm going to draw my big fat box here. I'm going to draw it big because I'm such a big writer. That's my elements. My atoms will be over here. I have only 3 different elements. So I'll go C, A, P, and then O. Notice my 2 outside here does not go to my calcium because calcium is not inside that parentheses. So calcium simply has 3 elements. So we are done with our calcium. But let's work on our phosphorus. So it's going to be subscript times my phosphorus subscript. So that's 2 times 1 is 2. And then I'm going to have my subscript times my oxygen subscript, which is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. Now let's look at the total. Total atoms, I have 13. even smaller yet than the other one. So that gives you a good idea of how to handle subscripts, which are next to parentheses. Remember, that subscript next to the parentheses goes to only everything that's actually inside the parentheses. It does not go to anything that's outside the parentheses, okay? Feel free to come watch this video again if you have any questions, or find me on campus and you can ask me questions there. Have a great day, scholars.